When sociologist Raymond Baumhart asked business people, "What does ethics mean to you?" he got a variety of responses. I've listed some sample responses here. The first response, ethics has to do with what my feelings tell me what is right or wrong. Our moral intuition of whether something is right or wrong, or feels right or feels wrong, can help us identify unethical choices. If you feel that something is not right, that may be a good indication that something is ethically wrong. But feeling that something is right or wrong is not always an accurate prediction of ethical action. The problem with this characterization of ethics is that it seems to imply that if it feels good, then do it. But our feelings can be misleading. If we want something enough, it may feel right, even if it's not. We can think of many situations where an action felt good, but was obviously wrong. Also, our feelings that an action is the right thing to do may conflict with other people's feelings. One person may feel that it's okay for a baker to refuse to make a wedding cake for a gay couple or an interracial couple, but others will feel just as strongly that it's wrong. Does this mean it's right for those who feel it's right and wrong for those that feel it's wrong? Or is there some way of settling the disagreement about what is ethical? Or are ethical judgments just opinions? The second response states, ethics has to do with my religious beliefs. Well, certainly our religion can help us form our individual moral compass. But this statement seems to imply that ethicality is reserved for the religious and that atheists may not be ethical, or at least as ethical as religious people. Also, while many religions share actions that they view as wrong, we also have conflict between religions over whether or not certain actions are right or wrong. And that can be a big problem for any business or other organization that includes individuals from many different faiths or of varying degrees of religiosity, from ardent believers to complete atheists. Again, as with ethics as feelings, ethics as religious morals means that differing views on what is the right action. Dang it, I can't get past this line. Again, as with ethics as feelings, ethics as religious morals means that we'll have different views on what the right action is and really no way to resolve disagreements. The third response states that being ethical is what the law requires. Again, this characteristic, The third response states that being ethical is what the law requires. Again, this characterization is problematic. Over the course of history, laws have drastically changed. For instance, consider slavery, women's rights, gay marriage, abortion, prohibition, actions that were once legal, we would view as utterly unethical. Would they suddenly become ethical if the law changed? Of course not. So while both ethics and the law share the goal of distinguishing right actions from wrong actions, ethics is not the same thing as the law. The fourth response states that ethics consist of the standards of behavior that our society accepts. In some ways, this response is similar to saying that ethics equate to the laws of a society. However, it offers a bit more flexibility. Its primary problem, though, is that it assumes a consensus opinion among society's members. Anyone who's ever experienced a political campaign knows that society is generally divided on many important topics related to ethics, such as rights, capital punishment, healthcare. Finally, the last response, I don't know what the word means. Well, at least this one's honest. However, this might be the answer given by Socrates, the great Greek philosopher, but this definition is insufficient for any business person, given the importance of ethics in business dealings. So how do you define business ethics? If we're defining ethics as guidelines for decision-making based on shared expectations of behavior, what makes business ethics different? Well, as someone who's taught business ethics for several years, this is something to which I've given a lot of thought. Like ethics in general, business ethics also help guide decision-making for and within the business or other organization. And again, the goal is to develop some shared expectations of behavior among people in a profession, a business, an organization, or a business community. Furthermore, business ethics involves determining what people in the business ought to do and ask not just whether a goal should be pursued, but how should it be pursued? I want to emphasize that business ethics are not the same as personal ethics. Personal ethical principles such as honesty and fairness are important in ethical decision-making at work, of course. But personal ethics of a business leader and its employees are only one of many factors that guides an organization's actions and strategies of the organization. This is because business decisions involve a complex economic, legal, and social considerations, which all must be weighed in determining the right course of action. Because businesses must make decisions large and small all of the time, business ethics are part of the daily practice of business. Not just a tool brought out once in a while for a particularly tricky or important decision or decisions in certain areas of business. Every choice, even unconscious choices or a choice to do nothing, has implications for the organization and its stakeholders. And every choice is going to be evaluated by others as the right or wrong thing to do. Whether others view the business's decision as right or wrong is going to affect the reputation of the business and whether or not others want to keep doing business with that organization or switch to a competitor. So another good thing about learning about business ethics is that it can help you right now. You don't have to wait until you're in the business world, but you can start putting some of these decision-making tools of business ethics to work as soon as you learn them. As we saw in the quote from Shirley Chisholm, some people doubt that businesses can even act ethically. There is that profit motive for a business. So some people are wondering, doesn't ethics get in the way of profits? Milton Friedman, who's a famous economist, he was asking the question, and he came at it from a different perspective than Shirley Chisholm. He really asked, should businesses act ethically? Or does the successful conduct of business mean that you sometimes have to ignore ethics? Milton Friedman wrote this famous piece called "The Social Responsibility of Business is to Increase Its Profits." And in it, he argued that corporate executives are really employees of the owners of the business. Now, those owners could be the stockholders, or they could be, a single owner or a family who owns business. But in their jobs, these corporate executives hold a fiduciary duty as agents to the principals, the people who put up the money. The executive's job then is to maximize profits while staying within the rule of the game, staying within the law for those owners. The executives are only authorized to do their job, which, as I just said, is to maximize profits. Profits belong to the owners, and social responsibility usually means something other than a responsibility to increase profits. And so Milton Friedman said that if executives spend company funds to discharge social responsibilities, they are spending somebody else's money, the owner's money, maybe the employees' or customers' money, without their authorization and consent. Spending money in this way is wrong, he said. It's a form of taxation, and it's wrong for two other reasons. First, on principle, if these executives are civil servants, then they should be elected. They are seeking to attain by undemocratic procedures what cannot be attained by democratic ones. And then two, on consequences. How will those executives know that they're really serving the public good? Therefore, Friedman concluded, those who claim that businesses have social responsibilities beyond just maximizing shareholder profit are wrong. Milton Friedman wrote his piece in the 1970s, and it really influenced business for decades after that. However, in recent years, over the last decade or two, people have really begun to question this viewpoint. Then the Business Roundtable, which is an association of about 200 chief executives of major US companies, in August 19th of 2019, they took the extraordinary step of declaring the end to shareholder primacy, which had been the prevailing view in the US since 1970 when Friedman wrote, "The one and only social responsibility of business is to engage in activities designed to increase profits." As we said, companies must obey the law, but beyond that, Friedman argued their job is to make money for shareholders. The Business Roundtable's landmark statement on the purpose of a corporation repudiated that earlier viewpoint, and in fact, repudiated the Business Roundtable's own earlier 1997 declaration that the paramount duty of management and boards of directors is to the corporation's stockholders. This new statement pledges commitments to 5 groups of stakeholders: customers, employees, suppliers, communities, and shareholders, without any hierarchy. Of the roundtable's 193 members, 181 signed that statement. However, shareholder primacy is still embedded in law in the US. Even companies in states with constituency laws that require them to consider other stakeholders' interests, corporations still owe a fiduciary duty to shareholders only. This move by the Business Roundtable is truly groundbreaking. It questions 50 years of dedication of business's purpose solely to the shareholder. But it raises a lot of questions and has frankly gotten a lot of criticism from some quarters. While the Business Roundtable's actions do not change the legal primacy of shareholders, it does seem to be part of an increasing look at how to improve capitalism.